Welcome back to another podcast. Today I want to share a couple things I've been thinking about. I've been on holiday in Portugal, and when I was sitting there I was just thinking of ideas to talk about. I think the main thing is how easy it is to focus and remember the bad things, and how easy it is to just forget the little good things in life. And I really want to talk about that in more detail. I also want to talk about how I'm not necessarily scared of death or bad things happening anymore, but I need to delve into that for that to make sense. And I'm just going to share a few things that people shared on my Instagram and a couple mindset things I've just come across recently. Okay, something I've noticed is the difference between people that have, a glass half full, glass half empty analogy, in the sense of you can be quite a positive person or you can be quite a negative person. And I think this analogy is really difficult because I feel like I used to definitely be a glass half empty person, viewed everything in a very negative way. And I think it's because at the time I was going through a lot of negative things and didn't really enjoy life. I didn't really see the beauty in it, in that mindset. At the time I hadn't healed and I was in a very victim complex. Doesn't mean the things I was going through were invalid, but it kind of sent me down a tunnel, and then I started to feel comfortable in the tunnel, enjoy the tunnel, because that's all I sort of knew, and for years that's all I knew. So it took a lot to break out of that tunnel and to see that actually there is a lot of good things in the world. And obviously I speak about how I did that journey all the time, but when I was in that tunnel I definitely was guilty of being that negative person that would always pick out the bad things that happened. It could be as silly as I dropped a coffee everywhere, and I could be see, these things always happen to me, or I knew that was going to happen. And that kind of victim mindset of see, I told you, bad things happen to me, will kind of manifest more bad things. I think it is important to realise when you're in a bit of a spiral and realise, have I just criticised everything all day? Try and find some good things as well. I feel it's very easy to remember bad things that have happened and be see, last time I went here this happened and this happened, and obviously your brain is going to be fixated on that because it was such a big thing that is stuck in your memory. But I think we then forget all the good things that have happened as well, because they were so, not insignificant, but because they're so common and they happen all the time, it doesn't stick in our brain as much as one bad thing, because the bad things don't happen all the time, and they're the things we tend to remember and focus our energy on. And I think it should be the other way around. I think if you've gone out for a nice coffee or something, you've gone on a walk, you've seen, pretty birds, it's been a lovely day, the sun's been out, and you go home and you can think about all those nice things, and it sets the mood for the day. You feel positive, you feel grateful, you start well. Or you could go on that exact same walk, drop your coffee or something and be see, I knew that was going to happen, these things always happen to me, started off a bad day, and then you set the tone for the rest of your day. Bad things are going to happen, that's inevitable, but don't let that ruin the mood for the rest of your day or the rest of your life. You need to kind of get out of the victim complex, because as blunt as I sound, bad things are going to happen to you regardless of how good of a person you are or how much you try and avoid it. It's going to happen. So instead of being at war with it, just let it happen. And instead of focusing your energy on when it does happen, focus your energy on all the other amazing small good things that happened before that happened. I can guarantee you, if you had a shit day today, there was probably a million other small tiny things that you should be grateful for as well. And once you do that energy shift of focusing your brain onto those good things, the bad things doesn't seem as bad anymore, or you feel more at peace with it because you understand that it's not going to happen all the time, every time. Something I feel I've really been not struggling with, I feel I'm at peace with it now, but for a couple weeks, my life has been very calm, very peaceful, and I should be 100% grateful for that. There has been absolutely nothing going on that I should be stressing about. And I feel really uneasy about that, because I feel majority of my life there's always been something to worry about or something to look out for. So to finally be at a place in my life where nothing creeping up on me, there is nothing to prepare for, just genuinely enjoy it, feels uncomfortable, but I am so grateful for it. And that's something that I feel I need to talk about, because when life is like this, peaceful, life has felt like this multiple times in my life before, but I don't remember them. And the reason we won't remember these moments is because they're not chaotic. There's nothing, not necessarily interesting, but there's nothing that our brain will remember as a key event. unless it's something really, really good or really bad. A lot of people, like, something bad will happen and they'll spend the next month being like, life is shit, these things always happen to me, and they disregard the couple weeks they had before that where life was so just tranquil because it was boring, or nothing happened and nothing stuck in your brain to remember that peaceful period. Instead of trying to criticize every little thing or trying to find a flaw in your plans or your day or whatever it is, just for a moment try to get rid of that negative Nancy brain and try and find the good things, even if it feels a bit like weird and like dreamy and it's like, oh, the sun is shining, the grass is green. Like, sometimes I know that it's like obvious things or things that you're like, this is silly, but it is important to like ground yourself and do remember the things that we tend to just like forget and think that's the norm, because those things are the things that actually bring us the most peace when we genuinely do acknowledge them. Okay, so this brings me on to my next point of quite a bold statement I've been saying on holiday, but like, I'm not scared of death or bad things happening to me anymore. And that's such a bold statement to say, and I'm probably gonna retract that straight back when something bad happens again. But I personally feel like I've been through quite a lot, like throughout my life, but maybe these last few years, and all the things that happened is things I tried to prevent and that I would stress about over and over, and they still ended up happening. So I kind of am like, I have nothing to lose type mindset, I guess, and that's brought me a lot of peace. And it's actually made me become more of an adventurous person. I still have like quite a lot of like fears and things, and some are silly, but I've been traveling a lot and having this mindset of like, everything happens for a reason. Like, having the mindset of things are going to happen whether I like it or not, like everything's out of my control, has helped me, because now I can let go and say, well, I'm just going to do what I want, what opportunities are given to me, and if it goes wrong, then it was always going to go wrong. I don't like the idea of like, oh, like regretting things, like, oh, if I hadn't have done that, then maybe this wouldn't have happened, or if I should have done that and then it would have made this happen, and like that, just forget it, because we have a plan, it's already written in the stars for us, there is nothing we can do to change it. Like, there is ways we can go around it, but eventually we will always be brought back to fate, like what's meant for us. So if I'm going to die in my sleep, I'm going to die in my sleep. If I'm going to die in a shark attack in Portugal, I'm going to die in a shark attack in Portugal. I'm just in a very like peaceful state of mind, in the sense of like, I don't want to let anything hold me back. And like, a lot of people say like, oh, you shouldn't go here, it's like, it's scary, or as a girl, like, you shouldn't travel by yourself, and like, there's all these things that people have been saying recently, and I'm just like, I don't want anything to hold me back from things that bring me peace and joy. And if something goes wrong, it was going to, no matter how much I avoided it. And I just don't think we should avoid things in life. I think we should be sensible and have our wits about us and understand exactly what you're doing before you do it. I just feel not so scared anymore. Like, I feel like throwing myself in the deep end in every aspect of my life, because like, I'm bored of like trying to prevent things, or the what ifs, like, what if I get hurt, what if this happens, what if it goes wrong. Like, if it's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong. Like, it's completely out of your control. There's nothing you can do or say to prevent a situation from happening. So I'm just going to do it now and just see what reaction I get out of it. If it's meant for me, it will stay. If that opportunity or that activity was supposed to go wrong, then it was supposed to go wrong, and it will probably teach me more things that I need to learn. Like, I just don't think people should be scared, because if you're scared and you don't put yourself in a situation because you're scared of the outcome, you're not allowing yourself to grow either. And as a human, we should be very self-aware and very susceptible to change, and it can be terrifying, but you have to be okay with it. Otherwise, you will stay in a bubble, you will stay in your box, and you won't get out of that. You will not grow, you will not give anything back to yourself or anyone around you, and you will not serve your purpose on this life. And for me, that is the most important thing. I want to do everything I can to feel fulfilled that I have helped people around me, I've helped myself, I've served my purpose. So if I die tomorrow, I'm okay with that. And I can truly say that hand on heart. Like, I have a lot more plans and a lot more things I want to do, but I also feel content with what I've already done. And I feel like I encourage everyone to strive to that mindset of, if you died tomorrow, would you be okay with the life you've led? Some people word that in the sense of, would you be okay with the accomplishments you've reached? But I'm talking more about like, Are you content with how you've made people feel on this planet? How you've made yourself feel in your years of living? Have you really taken advantage of everything God has given you so far? It's not about how much money you've made or what accomplishments or achievements you've got. Like, at the end of the day, mentally, like, have you reached the goals that you wanted? And that has really saved me, and I think in like my next chapter of life, like, this is going to help me go so far, and I'm not scared to hold back from like certain hobbies or certain people anymore. Like, I used to be very like reserved and overthink, like, okay, well, how could this go wrong, or that's not for me. Jumping in the ocean off a boat, like, oh, I'd overthink that. And now it's just like, fuck it, basically, because if something bad's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. Like, I might as well do it. I'm not gonna hide my whole life on the what if, or the idea, the 1% chance something might go wrong. So I'm just gonna give my all now, and I know that if I'm doing the work and trying very hard, it will definitely come back to me in a good way and in a good energy. Don't let anything hold you back. I think if you like want a job, go for it. If you get rejected, great, that's teaching you something, that wasn't meant for you, cool, next thing. If you want that relationship, go for that person. If it doesn't work, cool, it's probably saving you years of stress. Like, don't hold yourself back of the what ifs. Go for it. I personally think my life has got easier now I've just gone for it, because it's very clear to me what's not meant for me, because I'm doing the process quicker, if that makes sense. So like, if I see a new opportunity and I now go for it instead of like overthinking it, and it bounces back straight away and it's not for me, I'm just like, perfect, cool, that's not meant for me, move on to the next thing. Whereas if that was me a few years ago, I would have probably waited about 3 years to do that one thing, for it to then fail anyway, and for me in 3 years later to be like, yeah, that was not meant for me. I've got no time to waste anymore, so I might as well throw myself in these situations, these things that have presented itself to me, and find out quicker if it's meant for me or not, because it saves so much time and you learn quicker. And yeah, I feel like once you get to that mindset, you're not scared of things like rejection anymore. You're way more like adventurous, you're way more open and free and spontaneous, and you're just willing to go for it because you have nothing to lose. It's not in your control. Things are going to happen regardless, so just do it. Okay, so I've got a couple things from Instagram and stuff. I asked just for things that people have been thinking about at the moment or have learned. I just want to share some of the comments people are making, and I just find them really interesting. So the first one is a quote, which I find really interesting. It says, "A lot of our suffering comes from our attachment to what is no longer. When you find pleasure in the moment, when you say, okay, this is my life now and I accept it, it isn't until then that you find peace. It isn't until then that you're truly able to breathe and let go." I completely agree with that. I just feel like the idea of you don't belong to anything and nothing belongs to you is so easy, because you don't get stuck on certain attachments or like codependence on things, and you can just kind of be free and just accept that like, this is your life. That's fine. Like, if something bad or there's been a big change in your life has happened, like, it can take a lot to process, but to really just take the moment to just sit down and say like, okay, this is my life now, this is the change, I can't cry or stress about it because it's happened, there's nothing I can do now, this is my new life. Either it could be new things have come into your life, things have left your life, whatever it is, that is your life as present day. And the quicker you come to terms with, this is my life today, and live in the present, and then tomorrow, this is my life tomorrow, the easier it is to just get through life. I think the more we like focus on the past of what could have happened, what did I do wrong, or the more we focus on the future, like, okay, what am I going to do like to fix this and solve this, like, it takes up a lot of energy to just sit down with it in the moment and just be like, I'm just going to appreciate this change and process this, like slow down, as I say. I think the more you learn, and the more you really take the time to find out more about yourself before running on to whatever your brain is so focused on next. Okay, so another one says, a ship is designed to take you places. So if your friendship, partnership, or relationship isn't taking you anywhere, abandon ship. And I really like that. That's so funny. But I think it's true. I think everyone in your life should be bringing you something that is benefiting you, growing with you, helping you to evolve. and get better as a person in like lots of different aspects. And I feel like there's quite a lot of friendships people have that are kind of what I'd call dead end friendships, where like they're not helping you to grow, they're just there. They could be like going out friends or whatever, and that's fine, you can have those, but it's just very important to think about how much energy you're putting into those types of people and how much time are you spending, or I'd say wasting, with those types of people. I feel like I'm very selective about who I spend time with, and you can have people that don't necessarily benefit you but are still great people, and that is fine. But I like to spend more time with people that are going to teach me things and help me to grow, and I want to learn and listen. I'd rather spend more time with those types of friends, people that are taking me places. The people that aren't taking me anywhere, they're just there, are great, but you just have to be careful about who you're spending time with, and are they actually taking you backwards is another thing I'd say. Same with a relationship. Like, I think with relationships, people really mess them up by comfortability. I think people get really comfortable and just sit there together like every day, and neither of you are like accomplishing any of your independent goals. You're not growing as a couple, you're not getting anywhere. It's just very standstill. And I do say, like, I appreciate living in the moment, but I do think, especially with like a relationship, it's like a foundation of a couple. Like, you need to be with someone that wants you to grow and they want to grow as well, because I know there's some relationships where someone really like supports you in everything you want to do, but they kind of just sit there and have no goals or aspirations, and sometimes that's not good either. But then you also, on the flip side, don't want someone to be so ambitious and not really support you in your goals. So it's good. And also take accountability. You know, if someone's being really like ambitious and you're not, you need to learn to get your own goals and push yourself to grow independently, and then that person should support you, and then you come together and grow. But yeah, I think if you're just in a comfortable relationship but you're not going anywhere, there's no progress, there's no desire to support each other in your goals and ambitions, or like inspire each other, it's a dead-end relationship too. But I really like that saying, and I do think it's true. Every so often, just evaluate your different types of relationships with people, jobs, friends, whatever it is, and just make sure they are adding value to your life. Because if they're not adding value, or you're adding too much value and not getting anything back, it's not positive energy. It's not anything you need in your life, or you need consistently in your life. As I say, there's some people I enjoy in doses, or there's some things I enjoy in doses. It's important to time management is like a key in jobs and life and everything, but genuinely I do think time management with friends is so important as well, or relationships, or whatever it is. Just make sure that the people you're spending time with are worthy of your time. So yeah, that might have been a lot of ramble today, but just some insights that I wanted to share. Let me know your thoughts. And yeah, I feel like the next episode I want to do, I've had a very busy few weeks, but the next episode I want to do is something a bit more detailed. And yeah, so that is it for today.